Tanya, so how long are you going to be in India now? It depends upon Trump or Modi.
Modi uncle for
It
now until end of May, and because we're just waiting for the flights to
Comment.
go through at this point. I believe they've cancelled all the international flights until end of May.
Hmm.
So
But I won't have any problem in port of embarkation there. There's no issue there.
for now there isn't, but every day the scene is also changing. I think a couple of days ago he started talking about immigration. So
Immigration is stopped totally.
yeah, that's what. But we don't know which part of it, right? Like, is it new people can't come in, or is it no one can enter the country? Like, they haven't defined those rules yet, or is it there? Are they just stopping the applications that are new, and
But
it
it's
has
on.
nothing to do with the
The
other?
thing that's come out is that the green card, they're not going to process any green card, is the first information that has come out.
Not like that. H1B1 also they'll be quite tough nowadays. Actually, they want to protect their employment, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So
Anyway, I think every country will start looking inward, So it will have to happen.
exactly, most countries have already started that before COVID. Now COVID is a more reason to do that for them.
5 minutes to go. Are we on live?
Yes, we are on live. This conversation before the meeting is okay. Perfect. It will also ease all the viewers who are watching comfortable. They'll also join, but most of them are muted actually. We have just 14 participants. I'm waiting for this to reach 20. I'll start. So our people are very disciplined. They'll just in time. They'll join actually, and many of us like me, we'll go just in time. Then the Zoom will go somewhere. We keep struggling how to get into the system now.
Yeah.
So we have a very interesting experience. So what I'll do, I am very safe actually. I learned this a hard way. So I come on board at almost 20 minutes before time. I tell my guys, you guys are on board 20 minutes before. It's better to be on earlier rather than getting into trouble later.
He's told good public service. Okay, we talk about.
We also going to have interesting talk on vaccine sometime on the second. No, we are trying to get the MD of Roche International Diagnostics.
Oh, that's
we also want to understand what's exactly happening that area.
Yeah. It's all a puzzle, right? And it's fascinating. The news is not talking about that as much as they probably should.
Yeah, gentlemen from USA, you want to talk on digital vaccine. You know that it has become very popular in USA, I believe. So I told him, boss, give me some time to understand now before I get the digital vaccine, which we want to do it at school level, which prevents most of the diseases and is very popular. Done by Carnegie Mellon, along with John Hopkins University. Those people want to come and speak. We'll be hosting that very soon, actually.
Okay, that'll be amazing.
Shankar, all set?
All set, sir. You can start now.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to you. Another edition of our live webinar, which we have been doing it to you from the time we had lockdown. I know you're all staying safe, stay at home, and our objective is to keep you busy from morning till evening. You all know our program starts at 7:30 sharp in the morning with the yoga for you, keep you physically and mentally fit. Thereafter, we send you a bunch of quiz questions, which are all become really, really popular. If that doesn't go by 8 o'clock, I start getting SMS why the quiz are not come online. I'm so happy that so many people got hooked to the quizzing in the morning. Then thereafter, 11 o'clock in the morning, we have some outstanding speakers to come and share their insight. We have one more outstanding speaker this morning, and I'll be sharing with you the content very shortly. Thereafter, in the afternoon, we share with them some outstanding articles for you to read. Please do read them. Very, very interesting. And from 2 to 5 o'clock, we have a series of workshop training courses for each one of you. Besides that, this is the same time we also reach out to a large number of students on different subjects which they wanted. The individual college we join. If any of the college are interested, they wanted live Zoom for exclusively for their college, please do keep in touch with them. I may be more than happy to support you on this. And in fact, on the 29th, we are doing an event by an international speaker, Mr. Manu Vora from USA. He's going to be talking to us on the career planning and how you would plan your career and what is the campus to corporate and many issues. And we expect we have more than 40, 50 colleges signed up to watch. I expect at least more than 5,000 management to watch this program live. And if your college is interested, please do keep in touch. We'll give you the connectivity to watch this program live too. Then in the evening, again, we have a talk every day, 6 o'clock in the evening. And we also share business word puzzle with you. Ideas to keep doing. And not only we do a program of only management, we also program something outside the innovative, outside the box. Let me now share with you quickly, because there are so many mails you are sending. Some of you say that MMA means you delete because too many input is coming. So let me briefly tell you what's in the MMA in next 1 minute, so that in case you miss your inbox, you don't miss some outstanding programs. Now on 6 o'clock this evening today, we have a talk on COVID lessons learned for the future. We have a bureaucrat, former bureaucrat, Mr. Shivaraman IAS, retired, former revenue secretary. He's going to be talking, because he's going to be talking from the government perspective. We'll have better insight on this topic. So it's going to be happening at 6 o'clock this evening. Then again on 24th of April, that is tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock, talk dealing with the known, unknown in the COVID world. Again, we have an outstanding speaker, Mridula Ramesh, is the executive director of Sundaram Textiles, and also a clean tech investor, author of critically acclaimed book, The Climate Solution. And she's going to be talking something out of box, how the industry is thinking today and how they're innovating to keep sustaining in this difficult time. Then 25th evening, 6 o'clock, again, outstanding program. The Be a Diamond in the Sky by Mr. Vijay Parsarathi, is a brand specialist and informative coach, and he's going to be talking to us. This is the time how you enhance your brand, because you are all the time worrying about your business, and you are worrying about what is the deferred opportunities which you are going to really catch them now. But you have to keep building a brand. So one such person is going to be talking to you. Maybe today's topic will also really help you after Dania's talk, that how to really enhance your brand using the tool of Instagram. Then we also have a talk on 27th of April, Sunday. We have a talk, again, with an outstanding speaker. And 27th of, at 11 o'clock in the morning, 27th, again, we have excellent, because we are quite worried about the social media and data security, cyber security. That's why we are going to have a discussion on data on the move, cyber security issues and challenges. We got two outstanding brain in this field. We have Mr. Vijay Nagaraja Rao, specialist, data security consultant, author and teacher. Is also cyber jurisprudent. And we also have Ritesh Balla, is a cyber security investigator, cyber security consultant, founder director of V4WEB cyber security, and is a TEDx speaker. This gentleman is going to speak to us, share with you what are the various cyber security issues when the data is on the move. And again, on the 28th of April, 6 p.m., we have a webinar on music for mindfulness. We have been doing so many things on talk. Let's start, why can't we have a music on webinar, live music webinar, where GD Sharma, musician, is going to join us along with Uni Nair and other two more ladies, gentleman, lady, and we are already sending the invite today. This is going to be a fantastic. Take care of yourself by Swami Nikhilesh Anand. Is from the head of Ramakrishna Math Ashram, Gujarat. Is an outstanding speaker. TEDx speaker is regularly online on YouTube. So he's going to add tremendous value to us on the 30th of April. Then on the 1st of May, again, we have an interesting talk on the 1st of May. We have Mr. Sharman Subramaniam, is the MD of Roche Diagnostic, along with Aarti Shivanand, is a partner of J Sagar. We want to have a fireside chat. We are going to discuss so many issues which is relevant to the COVID and other issues. We'll be shortly finalizing the content and theme for you and share with you. Then again, on the 2nd of May, we have an interesting talk, success story, how it was done, Silamam 3000 years. We have Mr. Bharat Bala, is a screenwriter, producer, director, who produced some wonderful, inspiring movies for you, like Vande Mataram, many more. And he's going to be talking about what he producing movies. And he's also currently working on the COVID and how what is going through the country, and going to produce a movie a little later. And she's going to be talking to us. So these are the program what we are lined up for you from till 3rd of May till the lockdown, and we hope the lockdown to get away from that, so we get back to work and start joining us live. Coming to today's topic, and it's very inspiring, interesting, and very, very keen, and we are indeed delighted and happy that Danya joined. I must thank Shivakumar and Vikram for facilitating this talk. And the topic is 7 success mantras for Instagram, a modern marketing platform for individuals and businesses. And the speaker, you all know, I'll read a thing profile shortly. Before that, I just want to put the context to what is the thing we are going to discussing today morning. Why we choose this topic today. The question of whether the digital marketing is going to be there or not put to rest. Actually. We all know it has to be there. And without digital marketing, you will not survive. You will finish. Now, what do we do actually? Most of the market people believe that investing in large money, large tools, big infrastructure and digital marketing is going to take the business next level. I think they all met and they all failed miserably. And how Instagram, and I learned that Instagram is instant camera, Telegram has become Instagram. And so many things we are learning today. I think this Instagram is a free online photo thing. You all know, aware of that, and aware by Facebook. And this is a tool which individual and business can extensively use it to promote the brand and also products actually. I believe more than 1 million business people around the world are using this very, very effectively to promote the product and businesses wherever the visual impacts are very impactful. And it is also called as a new Facebook for young and vibrant. Even a youngster is not on the Facebook, not on the Instagram, is something wrong with him. So imagine the entire younger world is on the Instagram. So how much you can use this, and Dania is going to take us through, share her insights on how this Power Pack tool can be effectively used and she's going to share with us some extensive case studies, which will really enable us to connect with us, how this becomes really powerful, and it will empower each one of us, be a businessman or individual, to showcase your product, showcase yourself. You are also a personal branding, how you can do through the medium of Instagram. Let me have the privilege and pleasure of once again welcoming Dania to the show. Thank you, Dania, for joining us. Let me have the privilege of introducing you. Your profile is already on the screen, but let me read out. It's a rare privilege which we get once in a while. She's a passionate retailer and connected to the people and brand, and has been her primary interest and throughout her career. And she's also a former representative of head of online networking and club at University of Columbia at New York, retail brand Columbia, New York. And she also brings up with large experience with the large brands. And she's worked at the large retail stores in Singapore, like Uniqlo in Singapore, one of the biggest Japanese retail stores, Uniqlo. If you have worked in Uniqlo, you have worked with the systems and process of Japanese, you can work in any product. You know, the Japanese are very known for the product and system and processes. And she was also the president of the retail luxury goods club at Columbia Business School, New York. As a teaching assistant at the Columbia Business School, she had an extensive connectivity with the large brands, so which made her really connect to the large brand, greater insight. Because I always believe you teach somebody, you become a great learner of that particular thing which you're teaching, and she had done that. She's by qualification is an engineer from National University of Singapore, and also an MBA from Columbia University, New York. Gentlemen, you're going to have a beautiful, wonderful morning on another great tool you're going to learn. And very warm welcome to you, Dania. Now I'll hand over the session to you, and we're looking forward to a great morning. Thank you.
Sure, Uncle. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. It's my pleasure to.
And Shankar, can you please mute all the participants? And also all the participants, we have around 60 of them. You can all say hi to Dania and join us, welcome her, and sit back and enjoy the presentation. What do you, Dania?
Thank you so much, Uncle. It's such a pleasure. I want to just pause and say that for a second, to be here and to be able to talk about a topic that's very close to my heart, and something that I really care about. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and allowing me to speak at this time. So this is what we're going to talk about, right? I think a lot of people know what Instagram is. To some extent, but using it as a branding tool and really putting some thought behind what you need to do and the power of that tool, I think that's what I'm hoping to unlock today a little bit and touch upon. So I'm very, very glad to be here, and we'll jump right in. I think I've structured the presentation around 7 mantras, as I'm calling it, for Instagram, which are basically different steps in a process that you can build to build your profile and to build your business on Instagram. So let's jump right in, right? I think this talk is essentially for 2 types of people. And I think that there are 2 types of people here. One who know Instagram and who are curious about how branding would work on it. And then another type of people who don't know Instagram, but have heard about it and want to know more, right? I think the connecting piece between both of that is that you can really build a branding story and whether you know Instagram as you know it, or whether you're excited to improve it, there is something that for everyone to learn. I want to take a few seconds and ask you this question. What do you think Instagram is? Just try to think of a word or try to think of a sentence that it might mean to you. I think the most common definition we would hear from a lot of people is this, right? It's an app, it's a photo sharing app. A lot of people use it to share about their lives and to see their friends' lives and to be updated on it. So like how Facebook works. There are some people who choose to pursue a hobby and then share their cooking adventures, learn about other people's cooking adventures. Or you could be a third type of person who's there to stalk Deepika Padukone and other celebrities. All of those are welcome. I think Instagram allows you to do any of those things. But if we pause and think a little bit more, maybe there is another definition we can think of for Instagram. Let's look at some stats here, right? It's a place where a lot of young people spend a lot of time. And to put some numbers around that, 90% of the people who are here are less than 34 years of age. 66% of the people come just to interact with brands, and 40% of them don't watch television. This is a lot of mind space for the younger part of the community that brands and individuals don't have access to otherwise, like it would be in the past. And that's probably the biggest differentiator for Instagram compared to the other social media platforms that are there. Facebook is known to have a slightly older profile, covers more people from a wider age gap. But if you talk about less than 34 years old, the place to be is really Instagram. So okay, now you understand that people are here, they're coming just to learn about brands and interact with brands. And if you don't believe me, this is it, right? And I'm using the help of a marketer that I really enjoy. You guys should check it out. It's called marketonist.com. He makes a lot of very witty comments on digital marketing and how the world of marketing itself is changing. But this is what kids want to know. They want to read some branded content. They want to engage with brands, and they understand it in a way that a lot of us don't necessarily are used to the brand. If I take all of that and try to package it a little bit more, you can call Instagram a holistic engagement platform. I think if there are marketers or people who are brand owners on this call, you typically think of different ways to engage your customers. You either think of entertaining them, you think of educating them about your product, you think of inspiring them. So that's when you call a celebrity to endorse your product, or you work on convincing them. You tell them how useful the product is, how it will change your life, or you show them a cost-benefit analysis, and you convince them that they need to make a purchase. The great thing about Instagram is you can do all of those things using this one platform. Previously, marketers used to engage in live media. They used to conduct quizzes in real time. They would go to radio to have a talk. They would go to the newspaper to share an infographic. And then they would have advertisements in print media. Today, brands are able to do all of these in one place. And I think that's the biggest differentiator. You're able to take one product and really use it as a complete marketing tool for your business. So what we're really trying to say here is that Instagram is probably magazine 4.0. And what do we mean by that? Think of a print magazine and how you're used to reading a print magazine. You know that there would be photo shoots there. There would be a lot of interviews of people. There would be a lot of tips on how to do A, B, and C. A lot of things would be informational. You would learn about new products. You would learn about what their prices are. That was the magazine experience. Now add a layer of multimedia to it. Imagine that from that book, you can now see videos. You can see behind the scenes of the photo shoots that are being taken. You can touch and feel the product, and you can see how the product works on people. And then add a layer of curation to it, right? A magazine only has X amount of content. You cannot change it. But as a customer, you're able to now go to different brands and say, I want to hear from this brand, I don't want to hear from this brand. Really telling Instagram the things that you prefer to hear from, which means that Instagram also learns and shows you more personalized content from there, and allows you to discover more brands and discover more people. That is actually quite a new level that the traditional print magazine did not have. And then there is the interactive piece. You're able to like, you're able to comment, you're able to say something to the customers, and they are also able to interact back with you. So for the customer, really, it's now from a print magazine experience to a complete multimedia, curated and interactive experience, making it the new magazine that all brands are taking to, and individuals are also following suit. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about 7 different ways in which you can now engage with this magazine 4.0 and use it, because Instagram is worthy of your attention, and that's kind of what I'm trying to convince you to do. So before we jump into that, I wanted to just share a bunch of vocabulary in case you're not too familiar. A lot of you might be familiar, so please excuse me. I'm just going to go on for another minute about this. But essentially, to have an account on Instagram, you need to have a handle. And a handle is kind of like your email address. It allows you to have one place, which is your profile, and you can post pictures to it. Posts can be in the form of images or videos. There'll be hashtags on the posts, which will be ways in which customers will find your posts. We'll talk about this a little bit more. Stories are a new feature that Instagram launched, where you can share images and short videos, which will be valid for up to 24 hours. And highlights are a way for you to save those stories for a little bit longer. Live and IGTV are both ways to share long form video and actually share real life events that might be happening. I'm actually live on my Instagram profile for this event as well right now, which gives me an access to share something that I'm doing in my day with the people that I usually interact with through my profile. And then there's something called product tags as well, which enables brands to actually make a complete purchase. So we'll talk about all these things as we walk through the different steps. So I'll go to step 1. I think the step 1 here is really redefining what branding means. Branding used to be about celebrities. It used to be about glamour. It used to be about endorsement. And today it's about what your brand stands for. And you knowing what your brand stands for, or what your purpose on Instagram stands for, will make all the difference in you being able to take advantage of the platform. So priorities of the brand have shifted, right? And what's most important is to make sure that you know exactly what priority you are sharing with the customer, and how easy it is for them to comprehend that. I want to talk about the example of Nike here, which we know is a world-renowned brand. You can see they have 110 million followers around the world. It's super successful brand that carries some amazing legacy for the kind of products that they build in the sports industry. But see that one-liner if you're able to. I'm sorry, the font is really small, but if you have a body, you're an athlete. And hashtag is just do it. They've made those 2 lines such a household phenomena that you could have this in a quiz show and people would know that it's Nike. That's how much they've etched this one-liner in your memory. And that is really the purpose that they're out here to do, because they're not just selling to athletes, they're selling to anybody who wants to be an athlete, right? And convincing that through their social media is the thing that they do really well. I highlighted a campaign here that they launched a few days ago, which is an all-star player, a basketball player from the US. And so it's a story about her and her sister, whom she has a special relationship with, and they both kind of working towards making sports more accessible for people, which is just, that's not what you would expect to hear from a brand that sells shoes, right? Like you wouldn't think that you would think that this Instagram page would have a lot of pictures of shoes, ideally. But no, they push themselves beyond that product and they say, here's the life of the actual person who's wearing our shoe. And here's all the things that she's doing, showing you what they really stand for and convincing you that you're a brand worth trusting. And that's really the difference you want to be going after. So if I break that down into things that you can start with, into smaller tips, that is, I think you should write down a single message that you want people to know you for. And have an engagement calendar and plan ahead. Like try to put some of those thoughts into a sequence and see what you will want to communicate with your customer. Just do it as a 1 week exercise. Every day, what would I want to share with the customer about what I do? That could be an example for you to get started down this route. But the one message I want you to take is write down why you're on Instagram. It could be very simple. It could be that one-liner that we saw on Nike, or it could be something longer than that. It could be, hey, I want to make sure that everybody has access to beaded jewelry, and I want to make sure I sell the best of it on Instagram. That could be a purpose too. You can start that. But being able to write that down and communicate it will make all the difference. The second thing I wanted to talk about is how advertisement has changed. Again, going back to the same nerve we were talking about before, it used to be about doing a great, well-planned shoot, and it would kind of end there because you would only have static images that would be posted across different media, either print media, billboards, whatever it is. It would be static. But today, you're expected to tell a story because you can share multimedia. And so your standards have increased, right? You need to tell stories that matter because Instagram is really a storytelling tool, and it enables you to share multiple different media that can be consumed in a way that even why is Instagram doing better in this space than Facebook? Because the way they've designed the app is just so good for visual content. And so you usually see brands which rely on visual content do a lot better on Instagram because they're able to go into that and drive more. But that is not to say it's limited just to retail brands. And we can talk about this later as well. Everybody can create some visual content, right? It's about how you think about your business and how you define that brand. An example here is Sabyasachi. Some of you might know. He is a very, very sought after bridal wear designer for Indian women, both who live abroad and in the country. Very, very high-end luxury brand. He's defining luxury for Indians around the world and really showing brands what to do and how to do it. He has mastered the art of storytelling on Instagram. And I wanted to share a video while I still talk. Just look at how much attention to detail has been paid, right? He is not just selling that dress that he designs so well. He's selling that whole experience. Your friends and everyone dressed in the same grandeur and luxury. Everybody is standing in a palace and in a palatial setting. They're wearing jewelry that complements their dresses, right? There's so much that's going that they're sharing that whole experience and they want you to buy into that whole experience. Imagine after seeing this video, you want that product and you want just to know more about what they do, right? And how they do. You're just curious to hear more. And this is the type of content that actually works really well on Instagram. If I break this down into tips that you can actually do, maybe you're just starting out and you have inspiration like this in front of you, which is a Sabyasachi. You know, they do a really good job. Save some of that content. So there's a save feature on Instagram. Save that content and keep a dashboard of the things that you really think made you feel like you like a brand. That'll give you a great idea of the list of things you can do and the type of content you can try to create. Make sure that every post that you do and every tile that you share will reflect your brand ethos, right? Make sure you engage in the diverse variety of media that's available to you, because that will also really help share your story a little bit more. So what I mean by that is do interviews, talk to different people, make sure you post pictures, post infographics, also post videos. And the hashtags part. So I was talking about hashtags earlier. Hashtags are a great way for people who don't already know you to find out about you. So think of this as like a flag, right? Like a marker on your product that it lives outside your profile. So if the example that I had given before was filter coffee. So maybe I really like filter coffee and I want to see what brands actually make coffee powder that I can use in my filter coffee. If I click into that hashtag, I will actually get access to all these different posts from different brands which have used that hashtag on their posts. That way, I can then now discover new brands which I might not have known about on Instagram. So hashtags are a huge way for you to reach out to more people. Make sure you use the relevant ones. Try to create branded hashtags. That is, if you have a brand, then try to use that name and then say filter coffee. It will really help in you building that customer kind of power behind you. And slowly, when customers start to use your product and post about your product and their experience using your product, they will also be able to use this hashtag and increase the content for you. So the one message I want you to take away from this is craft some stories. It's definitely okay to ask for help. You might be a great business leader who loves your brand and a great brand owner, but you might not be very excited about creating stories. Ask for help, because I think all you need is some creativity and just be willing to share. So get help from your family, from your friends. Try to put some stories together. Goes back to put a calendar together. See what you can actually share. Just tiny little stories about your day, how you built your product, what was your inspiration this morning, what did you do this morning. Instagram gets really personal, and I know that it wasn't something that we understood very well, but people really appreciate it when it is personal. The third thing I wanted to share was the willingness to share behind factory doors. This didn't used to be the norm when magazine was the main way to discover brands, right? Today, though, the brands that make a mark and the brands that are powerful are able to reveal their authentic self, and they are appreciated for it on Instagram. So here I took an example of a brand called the Olio Stories. The brand is actually called the Olio. They make 18 karat gold plated jewelry. It's run by two women, and it's a small team. And the way they post their content, the genuinity with which they post everything, makes the customer, makes the reader feel like they know the brand really well. And that's the difference you want to be making, right? You want to be convincing the customer that you're something real, you're not something high up there that you can't access, because that makes customers trust the brand a little bit more. So what are examples of things you can do that are authentic? If I take from what Olio does, they share images of their workstation. They share where they make the products. They share almost any behind the scenes you can think of. They have live events where they're posting on Instagram the whole time. So then the followers on Instagram also feel like they are part of the event and they're able to learn from that event, and they're there in person, even though they might be living in a completely different city and in a completely different country. So all those are experiences which you can now share with this one tool to really build momentum around your profile. Another example that I can give from the retail industry is there was a hashtag which was called "Who Made Your Clothes?" that became really viral when there was a lot of conversation around the sustainability of how products are made. And people, the brands which were willing to share that, went and continued to share, say, this is the person who makes this dress that you bought, this is the person who makes the jewelry that you bought, or be any item that you bought. And that created a whole revolution, and it was a very positive movement across brands to see that they were willing to share their real story, right, about how the brand really comes into existence. And that will really differentiate you from what you can do. The one message to take here is just go behind the scenes, right? Be willing to share what it really takes to build this brand, because the more you share about your efforts, it's more appreciated on this medium. The next one I wanted to talk about is how advertisement and conversation around a brand has gone more from a monologue to actually engaging a community and getting their real-time feedback. Uh, Before in print media, it used to be about making an interview and then sharing it, right? It was complete one-way communication. The reader, whoever bought your magazine, had no chance of letting you know how they felt about it. Sure, an indication is the sales that you have for the magazine, but the magazine has thousands of content. You never know if the end customer actually liked one of the 1,000 content or not. But today brands are able to understand how much their customers like every single image and product that they put out there. They understand their audience as a result of that. They know who is the real customer who is buying their brand. And as a result of that, they're able to change their narrative. They're able to change what they're selling, and they're able to improve their products because they understand their customers. So it's important to remember that talking, feeling, real customer behind your brand. And understand that collective sentiment and make sure you communicate to that on social media. An example that I wanted to call out here is a collective initiative called the Soup Magazine. So it's a media company. They run stories from real people and really crowdsource an experience and share that back into the community. They've done a lot of video anthologies. They've done stories. They've done profiles of people. They work with photographers to kind of put these stories together, but you can really see the effort behind every single story that they put out there because it's almost always a collective effort from their community. Recently, since the lockdown happened, they hosted a live series with some of their followers to come and have a chat with all of them, and everybody had a conversation. So in a small group. So this was all very, very representative of how this brand would do it. If you were to take a retail brand that would do the same thing, then it would be similar. It would be, hey, here's a product that I am thinking of. What do you guys think about this product? Do you like this product? So a lot of brands actually use this feedback loop in their product development phase, even before they decide to release a product. So that is something that you can really use Instagram and take advantage of as well. If I were to talk about tactical things that you can do, there is actually a setting on Instagram where you create a profile and then you're able to switch it into a business profile. There are several advantages to doing this. You get to see insights on every single post that you share, which is how many people viewed it, how many people shared it, how many people saved it, what is the kind of chart of people who, how often did they engage with my post. You can then see data about your whole audience set itself. So take the example of Supram, they have 16,000 followers. They will be able to go into the setting and then see what percentage are men and women. Which countries do these audience live in? What is their age gap? All of those things, right? Which means you can then curate the content that you need to show to these customers, or go and find a way to acquire customers in those buckets which you are missing customers in. Make sure you respond to the community regularly. Make sure that you actually try to have a conversation with your community every now and then. And there's something called user-generated content, right? Where you're encouraging the customer to share a picture, you're encouraging a customer to share their experience of your brand with you. That's also a really powerful way for you to create some crowd around your brand. And a lot of big brands use that to launch a new product, for example. So the one-liner here is to really understand your customer, because you should definitely start with your plan. You should start with your strategy of what you want to do on Instagram. You should make sure you're telling powerful stories, and you should make sure you're crafting something authentic, and then see how the customer likes it, right? See whether people are engaging with your content or not. And then it gives you a chance to revise all those three things and cater it to that customer, because now you know who really is consuming your content. The fifth thing here is to continue to play the test matches, as I'm calling it here. Be responsive and be available, right? Like, 100% of your customer experience should be there at every touch point. It doesn't matter if they're talking to you on your Instagram profile or if they walked into your retail store. You should be able to give them the same customer experience. It was really fascinating to hear Dilip Kapoor, the founder of High Design Talk on MMA a couple of days ago, and I was kind of watching the whole thing. He mentioned this, right? He mentioned this and how seriously they take it as a brand. Beauty is natural, is high design's ethos, but they reflect it on their product, on their Instagram page, on their marketing campaigns, in their retail stores. It doesn't matter. It's across the board. And that is the kind of consistent customer experience you want to be giving, right? And you want to be responding to the customer. Can you imagine if a customer walked into your retail store and asked you a question, would you ignore them? You wouldn't, right? Because they're there in person, you would respond to them. I think if you're able to take that level of seriousness to your social media profile, then you will really see the benefits of that. And I also, we have a snippet of Lululemon's exchange with a customer, right? They shared a post about getting the community together about single-use plastics. And a customer replied and said, hey, here's what I'm doing. They really took it seriously. They acknowledged it. They responded to it, and they said, "You're doing a great job. Thank you so much for contributing, etc." That's like a little sign that you're sending out. So not just to that customer, but to other customers who are reading this and saying, "Oh, this is a brand that actually cares about what I do." It's pretty cool that they really walk the talk. So you're sharing who you really are. It goes back to that first point by every single action that you take. Now, breaking down this into tactical things, make sure that you have the different elements of your brand and you're trying to reflect it. So you could be someone who really likes to share photos with people in it, right? So you're like your product being used. You don't like to just share an image of the product, but your product actually in action. So take little decisions like that. And if you keep a consistent image, people will remember that for you. They'll say, "Oh, that brand that always shares how cameras can be used. Yeah, I want to go buy from that brand." So you will really create a reputation for yourself. And then other small housekeeping things are be regular. 3 to 4 times a week is important if you're building your brand, and try to post at the time of the maximum audience engagement. And you can actually see that in the insights feature that I was talking about earlier. The single message here is talk to the customers and talk to them regularly, engage with them. So it's not important to just know I have 18 to 25-year-olds most active on my profile, but it's also important to talk to them and know what they really want. The sixth point I wanted to talk about here is how Instagram has really helped exclusivity scale. It used to be about really cool exclusive launch parties that only the who's who attended, and that would then make it to print media. People would read about it and say, "Oh, this is exciting. Maybe I should check out this product. This is where it's available." Imagine that whole journey. It would take a few weeks to several months for that whole cycle to be complete, right? A launch party will happen. Somebody will write about it in the news. You will read about it. You'll make a mental note and say, "Oh, I should go to that shop and buy it." Maybe a month later, you cross that shop and you decide to go buy that item. It takes that long for you to complete that purchase if you remember. But here's the thing about Instagram. You can go live with your launch. At the same time, all your customers can see it. At the same time, you can share a live link to your product on that story, and your customer can go and buy it. All of this can happen in a span of minutes. And I think that's the kind of exclusivity. It's still, remember that it's still an exclusive experience. You're still able to convince your customer that you created this for them because that's what you did. Just earlier before, we weren't able to provide that access. And now with Instagram and with the way, at the speed at which it works, you're able to convince a lot more people of that. An example here is CaratLane, which is a brand, a Tata brand now. They do some great job of sharing real stories of their customers, right? Sharing what it really means to have CaratLane a part of your lives. And they include their product in those stories. and then convince you to buy it because they say here's the life of a person who buys this, and they're able to create their brand image and share it with everybody who follows them on Instagram, which I believe is about 200 or 300,000 people. So that's just a lot of scale that they couldn't have otherwise gotten, right? Like if they did it in a retail store, it wouldn't be the same experience. I think that's a really game-changing thing that you can use Instagram for. And so that's my one-liner, right? Like connect your product to the life beyond the product and share that message with everybody in a way that you might not have been able to otherwise, because to buy media on a print media would be really expensive to share the story. But now on Instagram, the cost of this is a lot lesser. There is nothing, if at all, besides the production cost that you have to engage in. And the final thing here is what I talked about just now, that ability to complete the purchase. This is not possible in any other medium in an easier way, right? Instant gratification is there. You're able to provide access to the customer to immediately shop when they like something. And customers will really buy that story if you did all those other 6 things that I was talking about, which is having a purpose, telling a strong story, right? Making sure it's authentic, making sure you're actually sharing who you really are, it's believable, and then really engaging with the customer, making sure that you're available for conversation, you're regular in your posting, and we can see that you're a live, active brand. Do all those things, and then if you connect it with that product tag, you will be able to complete that purchase, right? And at the end of the day, that's what I'm assuming you're here for. You're here to ask the customer for a share of their wallet in your item. An example I wanted to call out here is a favorite brand of mine from Chennai. It's called Margari Designs. So she started out making saris and selling them. And at some point, she realized that she had a taste that wasn't really there in the market, right? And she's a good friend of mine. She then decided that that's her capital, that's her differentiator from all the different things. And so she would post both her products, but also styling inspiration, and continue to do that throughout the profile. She's been doing this for, I don't want to misspeak, but over 6-7 years now. And today she has about 300,000 followers who all want to buy her sari. Like if she puts something online, it will sell that same day, if not within the same hour. And she's managed to build that anticipation and excitement for her product that is very, very hard to do, but she only did it through pure hard work. She put a lot of her time and a lot of her efforts into building that reputation for herself and for her brand, right? But today, if she posts something, she will immediately be able to complete that purchase. And she is an excellent example of a brand that was built entirely on Instagram from scratch to today. So that's really it. And that's the single message here, right? Make sure you remember that you're here to convert that customer, and you're here to convince them to trust in you and to engage with you. I hope this was useful. I also wanted to share another bit about individuals. Anything that I spoke about now would apply to individuals, not just brands, right? But if I were to start small and say, hey, I'm an individual, I have a job, but I'm interested in building something for myself using this medium, what can I do? Here's an example of someone that I really admire. She created a personal brand for herself. She is a very, very inspiring interior decorator. If you can see, and from the little you can see, I'm sure you can tell she has great taste in putting a house together. She started by just posting different corners of her house. And even till this day, that's all she does, right? Like she talks about how important it is to bring different design elements together. And she really built her hobby and just shared her journey of building a hobby. It's not like her life was any different, but now she's able to communicate that with a lot of people and share her thought process behind all the different corners and all the different things that she designs in her house. Slowly, she's built a community over a couple of years and built connections and has gathered momentum in her industry for being someone who has some exemplary taste. And I'm sure she's working with people and working with brands today to help them figure that out as well, because she's built that reputation for herself. So you can also start small. You can start with a single thing, and you can create that personal brand for you if you're consistent about what you're trying to work on, right? It could be you trying to take piano lessons. It could be you painting. It could be anything. I think Instagram gives you the ability to build a brand around it, whatever that one thing is. So that's really all I had to share today. I hope I convinced you that Instagram is worthy of your time, that it is the new magazine, and that it has gone from just regular print media to just multiple levels of engagement, and that it can really be used not just as a creative tool, but as a community tool more than anything else. Uncle?
Thank you so much, Dania. It's been a wonderful, fascinating journey taking us through the Instagram, and the way you brought it out clearly, how each segment one can do it, and especially you brought about how individual can really work. In the meanwhile, we also got a couple of questions which I'll be asking you the questions, and I also request all the viewers, please type your question in the chat box so that we can really handle. My guys are really compiled and passed on a couple of questions, and Dania is happy to answer all the questions what you wanted. We've got enough time for you to go through all the questions, and let me tell you the first question, which has come from one of our
sorry, group captain. Sorry, Dania, could you end the screen sharing?
Yes, of course.
Sorry, sir, you can continue, sir. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Now we want to bring in all the participants on screen so that they all know, interact better. So the first question, Dania, is I run a B2B manufacturing company. How can I apply your tips for my businesses?
Yeah, for sure. That's very relevant. I think what I shared is the full extent of what you can do from end to end.
Yes.
But for a B2B customer, I imagine, for a B2B owner, I imagine there isn't customers that they're talking to big vendors. But the thing about it is they are also able to show those customers what product they're really building, what community they're really building, and share a little bit of their journey to differentiate themselves from other people in that market. I think that is the difference that Instagram really allows even a B2B customer to do.
Yeah, good. Now, another question that people want to know is, what are your tips for someone looking to start a small businesses, and how you can leverage Instagram, how they can leverage Instagram?
Sure. So I think for a small business, I'm going to assume that you're starting from scratch. There's a couple of things that you can do to begin with, right? You can start a page. You can create a strategy of what you really want to do on Instagram, and try to just start getting into the community. That would be my biggest advice. Find people that you can follow, find people that you can learn from, and try to reach out to them and get to know them. Also try to engage, right? If they share some content that you really like, comment on it, like it, show that it added some value to your life. So people will then notice you from that profile, and they will be able to find the work that you do. That would be a differentiator. Also, I think try to talk to people. So if you find anyone who is interested in what you're doing, try to reach out to them and have a conversation about what they might be interested in. I think the rest of the brand stuff is not at all different from what I spoke about. It's very, very similar whether you're a small brand or a big brand. But you need to, if you're a small brand who's building, you need to put more effort into what you're doing.
Then how will I handle this?
There's a question from Mr. Rajan. He said, awesome presentation, Dania. Congratulations. What this question is, as an avid photographer, I'm concerned on the news that photographs lose its copyright once it's Insta. Is that true? And if so, anyway, I can work it around it to make sure that my photograph interest is totally protected.
Yeah. So actually, Instagram has been very, very good about this. Just because, like you, Rajan sir, a lot of people are creatives who are on Instagram, who are creating work, and it's very precious for them, and that is their intellectual property, and they're sharing it on Instagram. So if you ever actually feel like there's an infringement of your copyright, so you do have copyright. Whatever you post on your profile that's your creation is your copyright on Instagram. And if you feel that there's been an infringement, they work with you extensively to make sure that other copies of your work are removed. And even they go to the extent that that profile can also be deleted and that user can't be allowed to be in the community again. So they're very good about those community rules.
There's a question from Mr. Mohan Christie. He wants to know, I want to do an online training on IT courses. How can I use Instagram for getting more participants?
That, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who would be interested in this. I think your example would be a great one to share interviews of people that who you already work with, right? So they can be your advocate. They can share that I've worked with you and I've learned A, B, and C from you. That's an example. You can share infographics of how someone's life and training can change if they work with you. That is also an example. So the user generated content that I was talking about, that will be super powerful for you, because here you just want someone to build trust in what you do and come to you and work with you, right? So it's the initial part of the journey, not as much the later part.
Yeah, there's another interesting question from Mr. Ajay. How do you check and stay on top of the latest update, innovation, and the new platform in social media, including Instagram?
That's an interesting question. I think if you're in the middle of it, you're very aware of the changes. So there's nothing like actually using the product on a day-to-day basis and being a part of the change. I can say, so I've been on Instagram for about 6 years now, and from the time I started, the use of the platform and the features that have been on the platform have just scaled so much. Right, product and the shopping feature that I was talking about is just in the past year. They hadn't rolled it out until the end of 2018 to a wider audience. So I think being in the middle of the platform and engaging is the best way. Obviously, besides this, there are simple things you can do, like set yourself with reminders on Google News to share improvements about what these guys are sharing, because regularly Instagram is coming with product launches. They also do, I think they do like every 6 month convention about how they're improving their product. So those are also great platforms for you to learn about their bigger initiatives.
Good. The question from Batmaja. She wants to know, is it wrong if we exactly portray ourselves as a versatile personality, or only focus on one skill we possess at a time?
It depends on what you're trying to do. Of course, if you're trying to be a speaker, if you're trying to get opportunities to different forums, maybe being a versatile speaker person and showing that is a great idea, showing that you have a lot of knowledge in a lot of different things. On the other hand, if you're trying to sell paintings, then you probably want to show that you sell a lot of paintings and you can draw really well. So you want to show that one skill out more. It depends on what you're trying to convince, what the end goal is, right? Which is why you need to have that clarity of thought. And I think it's very teasing to just continue to use different share different skills and like go versatile. But if there is a certain end goal that you want to achieve, you should try and have content like that more.
There's another interesting question. Is it possible to only sell via Instagram without having a physical store or even a website?
It is. There are a ton of brands that sell only on Instagram. So the last example that I shared with you, which was Marguerite Designs, also started on Instagram and sells only on Instagram. I think now they have a website, but Instagram is really that customer funnel, right? That's where customers find them and then they shop on their website. I think these brands have have created a very good community around themselves. So there are a lot of repeat customers. Something that I hear often from these owners is the customers continuously come back to them and shop with them regularly. So that's a little bit of a differentiator from the way it might work in a normal retail store. But it's completely possible to be selling just on Instagram. It could be a little bit more laborious if you don't want to create a website. I know a lot of brands which use a combination of Instagram and WhatsApp to sell their purchase. And today with net banking, you can totally do it.
There's another question I think is very relevant. What is from Mansi, and what if the product we get, the post what we get, a lot of negative feedback actually? How do you manage them? This from Manasi.
Sure. That'll be hard. It means that you need to relook at your product again. It means you need to relook at what you're selling again. I think one thing I can say is there must be some truth to the sentiment that you're getting out there. If it's a lot negative, then you need to look at the product you're selling and see how you can reposition yourself. Now, with that said, I will also say that there is quite a bit of trolling, as we call it, on the internet. There are people who like to just comment just to say, oh, this is not good or this is bad. That is a bit harder to control if you have that much of a problem. I know Instagram helps you a little bit in making sure that you can block people who are actively trying to sabotage your work. But I think the main takeaway there is see if you can learn something from all that feedback and put that back into your product.
There's a question from Mr. Ramakumar. He says, I'm a builder and mostly the age group of my customers are around 30 and 40 at present. Do you think Insta works in real estate? Any suggestion from your real estate arena, and how is it from your experience of working with the large brands? Is the real estate also picking up on Instagram?
Yeah, there are a lot of real estate kind of brands on Instagram. They do. There's two types of people. There's the creative people in real estate, so the architects and the interior designers. They're all there. But also increasingly, I'm seeing people in the construction kind of space talking about their buildings, talking about the kind of materials they use, the quality of their construction, talking about the people that they work with. So their architects, their interior designers, their contractors, and being able to share that whole experience. I think real estate, you have a high potential to share more than what you actually do, right? Because you're building people's homes. You're building people's works and livelihood. So you're able to share that bigger message and say, here's the 100 people who live a better life because we built a house for them, for example. Because remember that you're still, the fundamental thing you're trying to do is to create trust in the customer, right? So you have a great opportunity to use that for real estate.
Oh, great. There's a question from the Race Tours, the tour operator. He says, Tanya madam, thank you so much. I've been into tourism for the last 7 years. Now planning to, on a monthly magazine, how I should proceed to use the Instagram platform for this initiative.
Sure. I think you will actually have some excellent examples in the community to learn from. I know tourism is one of the bigger industries besides the arts that takes advantage of Instagram, because you're able to convince that people can go to travel to a place and get inspiration and kind of lose themselves, right? Like that's the bigger headline of what you're doing. So sharing the different places that people can visit, what they can do there, how exciting and interesting that whole travel experience will be. Those will be ways in which you can convince your customer to come to you, because you maybe are differentiating yourself by the way you build different itineraries, right? By how much effort you put into building someone's itinerary, how much customization you offer for that itinerary. All of those things can be communicated using Instagram.
Great. Question from Smart Kids. Is there any time duration for video we can post in Insta?
There are actually multiple time differences. So if you're trying to post a story, it's not more than 30 seconds, I believe. But if you want longer form video, which is up to 15 minutes, you can do that using IGTV.
There's a question from Venki. I am founder and CEO of a Collective Mind Digital Solutions, and thanks for the lovely presentation. I was under the impression that Instagram was for youngsters and photo op. I have not used Instagram at all. How do I start Insta for branding my organization in a small way? I think you have told them many things, but if you can just quickly recap them, it would be nice.
Sure. I think that's the thing, right? I think a lot of people have not thought of Instagram as a branding tool, and that's really the thing we wanted to talk about today. It's not just photos. We see a lot of brands trying to share content from their actual work. I think that would be potentially a differentiator for you. So examples of how you guys communicate, how you guys work with each other, being able to show a little bit more. So this goes back to the behind the scenes thing I shared a bit, where you're able to actually share how you build your product and how you guys do your work. I think that might be a differentiator for you besides all the other things.
Awesome. There's a question from Shushmita. If you want to know, I'm not really very clear about the question. Maybe I think I'll try and explain to you. I want to do auditor. How can I use Instagram for getting more clients?
That's a challenging question. I think Instagram is biased towards people who are more creative and people who have some visual tools to share. Right? It's not great for people who have analytical things to share. But I can think of ways in which you can create infographics about how companies can be companies can use little tips to show what you do. So you might be able to say, here's one small thing that you can learn about how accounting works and how you're able to use that in their everyday. It could be advice to small businesses on best practices. It could be advice to bigger businesses on how to even grow that. So depending on who exactly you're trying to get as customers, I think infographics also tend to do really well for these kind of industries where it's not that creative, but more analytical and financial.
Excellent. And another question from one of the members: is Instagram suited for mass brands or only to the luxury brands?
Instagram can be used for all. I think we can say that Nike example that we shared is a mass brand actually. The Sabyasachi example that we shared is a luxury example. They both use it to their advantage. Nike uses it to build a story about the customer, not about actual selling of the product, because they have enough stores and enough distribution points for their products. Distribution is not their problem. Rather, it is getting that share of the sports market. That's what they want to focus on. So they're really trying to focus that message. So as a brand, as a mass market, that's what they focus on. But for Sabyasachi, it's more about sharing the aspiration to his products, right? So how exciting it looks, how amazing it looks, and how you want to be a part of it. I think that's how they position themselves. So you could definitely do both, and we see all the big brands having some exceptional presence, whether they are mass or luxury.
Thanks. Lovely. And this another interesting question, because post-COVID, I know a lot of youngsters will be looking for opportunity, especially with the management students, college students who want to pursue entrepreneurship. There's a question from their angle. How much money do influencers make? how you can take it as your as an entrepreneurial opportunity, sitting at home and make a lot of money?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's funny. It's in one part exactly as a celebrity's career would be, right? It's a hit or miss. Not everybody who wants to be an actor is a successful actor, and who makes a lot of money. So Instagramming and being an influencer is something like that. But the other beautiful thing about it is you can actually use your talent to make a lot of money. There are a ton of influencers who travel, literally they live the lives of celebrities, and all they do is promote brands. So they get invited to different hotels, they get to stay there, and when they're at those hotels, they talk about those hotels and how their experience is. They get to travel to different places to launch products, to share about what they do. So there's a whole spectrum of people in the community. I know that there are people who have more than 1 million followers who charge about a lakh for each post. So if you're really successful, you can charge that much. And then there are smaller influencers who have tens of thousands of followers who probably charge around 10,000 to 15,000 per post, depending on how big the brand is. Sometimes when the brand is really small, they charge 1,000 or 2,000. Sometimes they take just the product; they don't charge any cash. they take a product from that brand, and in exchange for that, they do a promotion for them. So it really varies. I think for me, for example, the community is more important for me. So I haven't kind of taken it up professionally yet. So I just work with the brands and I share whatever they have, and I prefer not to take cash right now. But there are different people who approach it in different ways.
Excellent. I think, yeah, it's a very clear message. You build your brand, cash will come automatically.
Yeah.
There's another question from Mr. Justin Joseph. Can you share the basic rules or ideas for paid promotion in Instagram? How do you do that?
Yes. We didn't talk about that, but that's also something that Instagram is doing a lot of now. They are basically increasing their revenue, which is through ads. So instead of just posting as I normally would, I would post and say, I want to put $50 behind this post. So let's show it to as many people as we can for that $50. So if you say that, then you're basically showing it to customers who otherwise would not see this post of yours on their feed. That's essentially what you're doing. It is known to be very, very effective. A lot of people get to find out about brands in the startup community where they are well funded. This is an ad direction they take. However, it is very, very expensive. If you are putting your own money through these ads, I wouldn't advise that as the first step to take in. I think there are still other digital ads that you can spend on which give you better returns and might be more cost effective. Instagram is known to be probably the most expensive ads out there right now.
Thank you. We've got a couple of more questions before we will let you go. And people are really excited. One of the members want to know, a great session, very useful. A quick question on how to analyze the best time to post for the maximum engagement. I think you have to see, how do you find the right time?
So you have actually, if you turn your profile as a business profile, Instagram gives you insights about your post, and they're able to say when exactly the audience is most active. So for my profile, for example, they're most active between 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day. And I think that is true across the community in general. The activity is higher during 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. During the weekends, actually, believe it or not, the activity is lesser. So more people are more active during the weekday, and weekends it's a little bit lesser than it is from Monday to Friday.
Oh, great! I thought only we have auspicious time Rahugalam Yamagandam.
No.
I learned. I think there is a Instagram also got a Rahugalam Yamagandam. Great. There is also another question. Quick question to analyze. Is there any time limitation to post videos? What is the duration, and what should be the right size so that you attract the people? Otherwise, long videos people get bored. Actually, what is the right time?
Yeah, that's a very good point. So Instagram actually lets you post only videos for up to a minute using the normal posts for that same reason, right? They don't believe that the attention span is that long. But we actually see that videos anywhere between 10 to 15 seconds are probably the most powerful, where you're able to share one message, not too much detail. The best kind of middle ground between both of this is Instagram TV. You can basically share a 15-minute segment out of a much longer video, and people can see that segment, but if they click in, they can see the much longer video. So that is one way to kind of take advantage of both of them.
Good, great. Is a question from Mr. Motish. Is there any negative comment promotion from the competitor? How to control it and how to really take care of that impact what's happening on my product by my competitor?
Yeah, it is that I think like it can be on anything digital. It's just so easy to go and sabotage somebody else's work on digital than it would be in person. Because in person you'd have to go there and throw tomatoes. You probably wouldn't do that. But in Instagram and Facebook, it's much easier. So for sure it happens. But I think we've seen that brands who have a good community behind them, however small that community might be, the customers come to support the brand. They come to say, that's not true. This brand is actually right. And I've actually seen a lot of healthy argument on Instagram than I see on other mediums. But that said, these are things you cannot avoid. If you think that there is one user who's constantly doing that, you are able to block them from your profile. But I probably wouldn't advise that. You should let the community share the feelings as it is. And if you're doing well, they will eventually stop.
There's a question from one of our members, Mr. Alagesh Guna. There is no bigger improvement in Instagram after this acquisition by the Facebook. Why is that so? Why is not constantly evolved since the time it's been acquired by them?
Well, actually, Facebook acquired Instagram in 2012. Instagram became what it is only after that. I think Facebook realized that Facebook is on the decline, and Instagram is on the incline, and they've actually been investing in a lot of products. So the Instagram that we see today and the shopping feature that I've been talking about, the stories feature, being able to launch videos, all of that is post Facebook. And the sponsored ads that we just talked about. So I actually would disagree. I would say that Facebook's been very, very smart about their Instagram strategy. They've been using it very, very well, and the business has grown multifold, especially for the less than 35-year-old segment. The most engaging platform is Instagram out there.
But there's another question. Will Instagram work on the capital goods? I suppose so, but I think he said, will this work on the capital goods too? Capital goods, big.
Capital goods. I think that goes back to how we thought about it in the B2B segment, right? Like where you will not be able to complete the purchase, but you will be able to share a story of why you're different from the other brands and why you guys care more about your production process, your manufacturing process. It could be anything, but why you guys care about that and how you're different from the other competition that you're facing. That would be a way.
Yeah, perfect. There's a question from Mr. Ganak Raj Tangavel. Any tips on linking the e-commerce site with the Instagram business account?
Yeah, you should do that. It's actually fairly easy to set up. So if you have the e-commerce website already, several e-commerce sites are connected to Instagram. So like an example is Shopify. If you have that page, then you're able to add it, look it up on the Instagram help section. It's like a few minutes process and you can set it up. That way, whatever products you have on your website, you're able to tag it on your posts. So you should 100% do that if you have a website. I think that's a great way to sell directly to the customer.
There's a question from a student, the MBA student, Sri Ganesh.
Okay.
He says many pages many people increase their followers by putting a fake post initially, and they start pushing their content on us. Also, there are people who started doing business to help us to be an Instagram influencer and charge for it. What's your opinion on this? Can we make use of this and wish to convey many thanks if you can clarify these points, madam?
Yeah.
MBA student.
My personal opinion, of course, is I would be strongly against getting followers through these routes, because these are not followers who are going to stay with you and stay with the brand. You would be better off getting followers who actually care about the work that you are doing and who actually want to hear from you. I think one way, if you want to pursue growth, right, make sure you're in that community, make sure you're replying to people. I know a lot of people basically just follow customers and use that as a way to share with them about their work. That is much better than getting fake followers, because fake followers will definitely drop off. The way these fake followers work is they're all fake accounts as well. So they'll tell you that they'll get you fake followers, but they have 1,000 fake accounts with which they get it to you. And then after a while, they'll just unfollow you and go off. I understand why this might be good for some brands in the beginning, but it's not great for your engagement or for your business.
There's a question from Mr. Krishnamurthy. It's a fantastic presentation, and how we find our brand reaches to the customer sincerely, because all youngsters are using as a fun mostly, but the percentage of senior people who actually take decision on major acquisitions and purchases use very less and not perspective. I think they should ask the parents' account I use as the ATM. The children are the most influencers in terms of purchase. You may be able to share some light on this.
Yeah, I think I think being able to use it, the fact that you can purchase on it is what needs to be celebrated, right? I think yeah, sure, if someone is buying too much, then this feels like one more way that they are. But I think as a brand, for you, it's that access to the customer, it's access to being able to complete the purchase immediately, that's more important, and that shines through more, for me. So I think that's the amazing thing.
There's another question before we let you go. Another couple of minutes, another 4 5 minutes I have with me. I think I'll try and put in a couple of more questions so that we don't disappoint anybody. How to encourage customers to share their experiences of the product and the brand to make them post in the Instagram? How do you impress upon them to do that? Actually,
So actually, people have a bunch of techniques to do that. So they run something called giveaways. So what they do is they create a hamper out of their products, and they say, this hamper is up for a giveaway. All you have to do is post a review about us on your profile and tag us. So they do it as a lucky draw. So if 100 people do that review, one out of the 100 will get that hamper. I've seen this to be very, very effective in getting people to post and share about your work.
there's another interesting question. What are the most effective tools to generate leads? How can you be very successful straight away on touching Instagram?
There is no magic. There is no magic to immediate success. Like there is no magic in life. I think it's putting the effort behind your work and really being diligent and sharing what you're doing in a very genuine way. I think Instagram is okay with you being vulnerable about your business. I think that's the amazing thing. You can say, hey, we had a good day, this is what we did. You can also say, hey, we had a bad day, this is what we learned from our day. All of those things are welcome. So I think sharing why you're in this, why you're trying to grow your business, what you really care about, what do you want to achieve in life, all of those things will help you share a stronger story. And I can say that that's the biggest differentiator.
Great. I have about 3 minutes. I think I'll fit in two more questions. Is it okay with you, Dania?
Yes,
Uh, yeah, Mr. Abbas want to know the paid followers is it good for starting a new business or not?
the
Paid
what?
followers. Paid followers. To start a good business, whether I increase the followers just to showcase that I have a large number of people using the product, is it good? Because the paid followers vanish very soon. So is it? What is your view, idea? What is your advice on this?
Yeah, I don't advise it. I think having paid followers will basically definitely diminish what you're actually trying to put out there, because you'll never get a chance to build the real customer and the real follower. So I think pursuing that is a lot more important while you're still building the business. I think that's where the focus would be, better returns in the long run.
Very relevant. You all know our members are very updated. You know the news you must have read. Reliance Jio, Facebook has acquired almost 10% the
Yeah,
Jio. They
yeah.
want to know Facebook having a stake in Reliance Jio in India recently. Should
Mhm.
small retailers start using more Instagram for business development? Small retailers, I mean the Kirana stores, because it will be affordable once Jio come in picture. Hopefully, what's your view on this?
For sure, yeah. I think maybe the biggest blocker right now is that the small kiranas don't know that they can be on Instagram and they can create something, right? So I actually think this Facebook's acquisition of shares in Geo means that they're going to bring those products to all these people. There is very little awareness. So while we said that Instagram is very popular in the smaller age group, uh, Facebook is 3 times more popular in India. So Instagram is still not as popular as it can be, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest game changer, because all those things we spoke about, right? Like that ease of making a purchase, the ease of sharing the story, combining both of that. The best way to do that is Instagram. So I believe they will try and share that more so that they can create that whole small marketplace economy within Instagram.
Thank you, Dania. 12:15. We are on time, and so many questions. I must really appreciate the way beautifully you brought out the Instagram as a tool, and you also answered each of the questions, so analyzed them very well, and it clearly shows how knowledgeable you are in the field of Instagram. I am quite sure the viewers who watch this program will greatly, immensely benefit by your insight. I'm quite sure they are going to hook on to Instagram, and we have a page in the MMA Instagram. I'm going to tell my guys how you can genuinely improve the number of followers, so that our objective is only promote management knowledge and be a fountain of managerial excellence, which is our objective. Thank you so much. And all the viewers, I now request Shankar to bring all the viewers on the screen who are available on Zoom. So that I will request all of you to show your appreciation by typing awesome. Yes, no, just typing awesome, Dania, your presentation. Thank you so much, viewers who joined, and all the viewers who are watching the program live on YouTube, Facebook, and also. And now I'll open the audio. All viewers, you would like to convey your appreciation, please go ahead.
It's very awesome, Danya. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Awesome, Danya. This is Padmaja here. I started following.
Thank you, Padma.
See, yeah.
Thank you, Danya. Lovely session.
Hi, Danya. This is Jayanti. The session was so much useful and so beautiful. A very nice presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, viewers, and your feedback is really valuable to us, and it will really be inspiring. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, look forward to seeing you this evening at 6 o'clock for another edition of our talk. Once again, thank you, Dania, for being with us and and sharing your insight. And we are going to be in touch with you soon. So regularly we'll get you over. Now, when you move back to USA, we can get you on Zoom and keep talking to our members regularly. And you can also in future, because this insight is very, very important in the difficult times what the country is going through. Thank you so much, and thank you, viewers, and bye-bye. Till we meet again, goodbye. And stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.